Let's talk about today's Benghazi hearing, along with everything 2016, with CNN political commentators Amanda Carpenter and Paul Begala, and CNN senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. Amanda, let me start with you. How are the Republicans doing, do you think?
Well, let's be honest. The next election is not going to be a referendum on Blumenthal's emails or Cheryl Mills' emails, but it will be a referendum on the Obama-Clinton foreign policy. What has happened in Libya.
And her character, and Hillary Clinton's character.
And her judgment. And this is what this hearing is really about. And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to have a hearing about. What were the decisions that led up to the situation in Benghazi? What were our strategic interests there? And why was it so important that we had an ambassador there who was in a compound that was not secure, did not have the right military protection, did not have the right protection of a host nation, and the fallout that became of that. And so, yes, it is a question of Hillary Clinton's judgment. Yes, it is political. And I know you like to call this committee a super PAC.
It is.
But judging from the Democrats' performance, if Benghazi committee is a super PAC, then the Democrats' performance today was an in-kind donation to Hillary Clinton's campaign, because they did nothing but duck and cover for her at every turn, when I think the American people really need a honest discussion of what happened on the ground there and why.
Paul agrees with you. He doesn't consider that an insult.
It's not, but I disagree with this. The Democrats actually didn't have Hillary's back. They didn't need to. She did fine. What they did, which was ingenious, is the Republicans tried to put Hillary on trial, okay? The Democrats put the Republicans on trial. She floated above the whole thing. It was, I'm telling you, it was a textbook performance. Chairman Gowdy, I probably shouldn't say this, he's probably watching. Chairman Gowdy has handled this so poorly. You know, he's a guy who is a former prosecutor. He's reported to be desirous of being a federal judge one day, and he should have conducted himself like a judge. Instead, he was arguing with the Democrats, looking nakedly partisan, allowing Hillary to float above it. Here's my prediction. Save this tape. The next time Hillary Clinton appears before Congress, it'll be January 20th, 2017 to take the oath of office.
Well, I will say this. The committee should be judged on its final report, which will be available to the public, not by one single hearing or one interview or one transcript.
Well, let's talk about some of the cogent points being made. Peter Roskam, in his first round of questioning, Jeff, started talking about the Libya policy and, in his view, what a disaster it is. That does seem to be something that merits some exploration.
Right. I thought what was interesting is that the shift in sort of what Republicans have been talking about. You know, for the summer, we've been hearing essentially nothing but the emails. You know, did she abuse classified information? Should the FBI investigate? That has come up almost not at all. So the accusation has not been Hillary Clinton is a criminal. The accusation has been Hillary Clinton was a bad Secretary of State. And that has really been the focus of the inquiry. That seems to me a very legitimate question for the political campaign coming ahead. It's somewhat less clear why that's relevant to what happened in Benghazi on 9/11/2012. I mean, this is supposed to be an investigation of those events in particular, and the inquiry has gone very far afield, particularly with this, I have to say, bizarre obsession with the former journalist Sidney Blumenthal, whose name has been mentioned far more often than Al-Qaeda or the actual attackers.
Many members of the committee, Republican members, have made it very clear that they think it's strange that Sidney Blumenthal, who was this longtime confidant of the Clintons, who was barred from joining the Clinton administration by the Obama White House, was barred from joining the Obama administration by the Obama White House, even though Clinton wanted him on her team, that it's strange that he had access, direct access, email access to Hillary Clinton, while Ambassador Stevens did not. Do you think that that is a point that the American people care about? What do you think is the larger issue going on there? Because I am a little bit at a loss as to why this is getting so much focus.
The larger issue that they're trying to get at is what was Hillary Clinton's judgment in keeping Ambassador Stevens on the ground there? The fact that someone who did not have great knowledge had direct access to her email, whereas numerous State Department officials who were clamoring to get attention that the security situation was deteriorating on the ground, somehow it didn't get on her radar. Nothing changed. I mean, if you look at the Senate intelligence report, you see that you had the CIA, you had multiple intelligence agencies and numerous reports saying things are getting worse there. In the run-up to the attacks, 4 major incidents were car bombs, RPGs.
The British pulled out, the Red Cross pulled out.
All kinds of things were happening. And the fact that every agency was seemingly warning about this, an attack happened, and then they trotted out this falsehood that it was caused by a YouTube video. When you had all this evidence suggesting that a terrorist attack was going to happen, it just doesn't add up.
So, Paul, let me just say about Amanda's point. It would have been great if Chris Stevens desperate for security, was able to get access to Secretary of State Clinton in the same way that Sidney Blumenthal? No?
No.
Why?
I'm sorry to sound cruel, but no. Because, and this is not my opinion, Glenn Kessler, who actually came up earlier, he's the fact checker at the Washington Post, covered the State Department for 19 years, wrote a book about Condoleezza Rice in the State Department. He is an expert on the State Department in a way that I am not. Kessler has tweeted today that would be chaos. There's 200 ambassadors. There is a chain of command. The State Department is the oldest department in our government, and there's a hierarchy. Now, sometimes that can become ossified, and that's a problem. But you can't have 200 ambassadors all around the world direct dialing the secretary. This is why they have the professionals. Plus, Hillary has a lot of gifts, but she's not an expert on embassy security. So the State Department has permanent career people who are experts on embassy security. That's where those requests go.
Hang on, all of you. We're going to take a very quick break.